We'll have other pieces up. One thing that's charity related for WrestleMania is the fundraiser raffle that Mick Foley is doing for Rain.
Right,
I
yeah. Like $2 a ticket and people can win this great package that he's got put together.
Yeah, you get like, great seats to WrestleMania, the Hall of Fame, like all the WWE events, plus like WrestleCon and Ring of Honor and Jim Ross's show. And also you'll get an original painting from me of the wrestler of your choice.
Well,
Uh,
coincidentally, Mick Foley is one of the champions that you haven't done yet.
not of the Champions Collection yet. I've done a lot of other paintings of him, but not one of those yet.
So would you say he's a big fan of your work then?
Yeah, we've been talking quite a bit. I reached out to him to do to donate the painting, and it turned out that he'd been a fan of my art without knowing me. He just recognized the style whenever he would see it, but like there's so much information that is thrown his way every day, all day. He didn't, know the name of the artist. So like when I finally reached out to him, he looked at my stuff and he's like, "Oh man, I've been a big fan of yours for a while. I just didn't know who you were." So hopefully we've got some other things coming up down the line together too.
Mm. And I know you've done some very formidable, figures in the wrestling world over the years in the Champions Collection. Like, I've seen in other interviews where you said that Bruiser Brody is one of your favorites, and he was a very formidable man in real life.
Oh yeah, he's my all-time favorite wrestler. One, he just had an amazing look, and he's fun to paint. He's a lot of fun to paint. And then also like the way that he cut his own path in the wrestling world, like he went wherever the best deal was at the time, and in that time period you could do that, and he did it very well, until the unfortunate end there.
Yeah.
But I've struck up a friendship with his widow Barbara and also his son Jeff. And the prints that I have available on my site, a portion of those go to the family. Just throwing some money their way to thank them for Frank having been around and doing my part.
Very cool. I think she also has a book out about his life and times and his career in the ring and being married to such a formidable man. I'm pretty sure she's got a book out of her own.
Yeah, she co-wrote it with Larry Matizik. It's a great book. It's probably my second favorite wrestling book.
Okay, well that begs the question, what's your first favorite wrestling book?
Queen of the Ring, the book about Mildred Burke. That's the best wrestling book I've read because it was, a long gone time period, and also, talking about like how different it was for a woman wrestler at that time. Like there were a lot of states that didn't even allow women wrestling women, let alone, a lot of times that she would also wrestle men. But she was so popular at one point that she was like the co-main event with Lou Thez. And so like, it was her match. And then the main event was Lou Thez. Half the crowd left after her match. They didn't stick around for Lou Thez.
Wow.
I mean, that was big. And it shows like when done right, ladies wrestling is a really big thing. Which is, something that I'm excited about looking at the ladies that are working in NXT right now.
Oh, well, it's funny you should say that because I've got NXT on in the background as we speak, and I believe Paige just had a match a little bit ago, so.
She's amazing.
Oh yeah, and I love her look too. I've seen some people complain that she wears too much makeup, but personally, I think that's a gothic look. I think she's going for that pale black beauty that people love in the gothic art scene. It's that style of just being completely, sunken and just looking almost like a skeleton, like you're a figure out of, a movie.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I think she probably has a little bit less makeup than most of the divas. When you meet them in person, you're like, wow, like you use more paint than I do.
Perhaps so. Now, as long as we're
that's
talking
for the stage.
right. But as we're talking about women's champions, I mean, the champions collection, as far as I can tell, is men, but what is the possibility of having a sister collection for the people like Paige and, Natalia and the women that have been women's champions?
Well, I don't have a specific collection set up, but like if you look in the gallery section on my site, you'll see all the other wrestling art that I do
Ah,
besides the Champions collection. And I've done quite a few portraits of lady wrestlers.
oh
They're a nice
yes.
change of pace after a bunch of sweaty dudes in their underwear.
Yeah, you've got so many here. I'm not even sure I could get through them all if I read them one by one for an hour straight. So, what was your favorite woman to paint then? I'll just ask you to pick one.
Um, Sherry Martell actually gives me the most to work with. When she would do the face paint and stuff, that's really fun to work with. Elizabeth is really she has a lot of distinctive features that are fun to paint as well.
Well, I think you picked two of people's favorites right there because I mean, I was a huge fan of Sensational Scary Sherry. You know, I was there for her Hall of Fame induction, so big fan
Oh,
of hers on my part. And my wife adores Miss Elizabeth. She just watched the match made in heaven, the match made in hell SummerSlam just last night.
oh,
So it's definitely popular with her and with me as well. But I'll go back to another question from Jeff in the chat room. He wants to know if you've ever used mediums other than watercolor, ink, and acrylic, or are you more of a paper and canvas guy?
I occasionally use oil and spray paint as well. But yeah, like those are where my strengths are. I'll incorporate other mediums to create more of an effect than to work directly with them. A lot of times, like in art class, they'll tell you never mix your mediums. But to me, that's like learning the rules so that you can break them. If you look at, especially in the Champions collection stuff, like say my portrait of Edge, that was, let's see, a mix of acrylic, spray paint. I think I had some marker in there, used house paint on it. Everything that I thought would, make that final piece look the way I wanted it to.
And I like it. It's definitely the nice effect of him, like in a moment of repose. You know, usually you see Edge with like bug-eyed and the hair flowing back, and he's angry. But in this one, it's almost like he's got a moment of serenity when you painted him.
Thanks. I think that's actually my personal best piece. There's a couple that I haven't put up yet that might rival it. One of Eddie Guerrero and one of John Cena. I'll leave that up to other people to decide. I haven't posted those yet, though.
Well, I can't wait to see the Eddie one too, because he's another one of my favorites. God rest his soul. I got to see him a few times live, and that smile of his was so infectious. I can almost see the painting now with him smiling.
And when he was at the height, I don't think there was a better wrestler on the planet.
No, he was. I mean, I didn't think much of Bradshaw as a wrestler, and I saw him get some amazing matches out of Bradshaw.
Oh yeah, yeah, and that feud was hot, man. That was good stuff.
Oh yeah, he came here on an Easter Sunday, and I thought nobody would come for a house show on Easter, and there were still like 7 or 8 thousand people there just to see him wrestle JBL.
Take it to that white guy.
Exactly. Oh yeah, people wanted him to beat up that tall Texan. They were saying. I mean, I live in Nebraska. People don't like Texas here anyway, so there was a lot of heat on JBL that day.
Uh, Now, was that when JBL did the thing at the border, or was that when he was facing Rey Mysterio?
I think he did the border thing with Ray. I could be wrong. Somebody in the chat will correct me if I am.
That was the funniest skit I think they've ever done. When he's like directly like stopping the illegals coming in, it killed me.
I'm sure Jam Brewer wanted to hire him after seeing Oh, okay. Well, here's another question from Jeff in our chat room. He says, your Streets Hearts, Skull Saves Hearts, and Hearts of Darkness series are very incredible. What was your inspiration behind them?
Sexy ladies, really. I wanted to mix up traditional pinup work with what I was seeing done in more modern portraiture, and then also that global street art that I was looking at. So it's like taking and that was kind of the prototype of what I started doing with the wrestling art. I I actually had gotten to a point where I was kind of bored of painting women in their underwear, and I wanted to do something different. And there's not much more different than wrestling.
That's very true. Nikolai, we got a question from somebody other than Jeff for a change here. Nikolai wants to know what is the most famous people or company you've painted outside of wrestling?
uh, I kind of just like paint whatever interests me, like in between like big wrestling projects. So, like I did a series of David Bowie paintings, and also painted every Doctor from Doctor Who. Uh,
Oh, man after my own heart right there. I'm a
uh,
Whovian, so you
I
got me
love
with
that
that one.
stuff. Uh,
Have you done Peter
actually,
Capaldi yet, or is it too soon for him?
I haven't done his yet because I don't have a feel for who he is as the Doctor.
I don't
So
think
I'm
any of
waiting
us
on
do.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're all waiting to figure that one out.
Um, and like just did like a series of kind of like nostalgic pieces, like Super Mario and Link and Mega Man and uh,
Oh, once again, you're pushing my buttons here, Rob. I'm a big Mega Man fan, so I have Mega Man paintings on my wall right now as I'm looking at them as we're doing this interview.
oh cool. Yeah, I actually did them all 8-bit style. Pretty fun stuff. And did like a series of paintings of toys from the 80s from when I was a kid. So like Snake Eyes and Optimus Prime and He-Man and Skeletor, and did a LJN Macho Man for Zack Ryder.
Cool. Hey, Kev, I've kind of been dominating the conversation so far. I imagine you've got a few questions too, if you want to jump in here.
You've already hit them all.
Have I really?
I am out.
Okay. I didn't want you to not get your chance, but I'm happy to keep going if you've got none for yourself, because Jeff has a ton. So I'll go back to some more of Jeff's. Let's see here. Oh, Jeff wanted to know what your advice is for up and coming artists trying to get noticed.
First, always be working on being better. Uh, I'm rarely happy with anything I do. All that I see are the things that I could have done better. And instead of just trying to constantly make that piece better, I apply what I learned from doing that one to the next one. Like, okay, this worked, or this thing accidentally happened, but it looks cool. Or if I did this other thing just a little bit different, here's how this can work. And that way you're constantly evolving as an artist. You're not just trying to make that one painting work. Maybe that painting's just not going to work, and that's okay. Make the next one work, or the one 5 down the line. In the last 3 years, I've done 1,000 wrestling paintings. There's some duds in there, but if you do 1,000 paintings, one or two of them are hopefully going to be pretty good. And it's about the work ethic. And then like when you feel that you've got your craftsmanship up to a good level, then be different. Like that was one of the things like why I wanted to get out of comic books. I was just another guy drawing comic books, and I was never going to be like Bill Sienkiewicz or Bernie Wrightson or any of those guys, or Jeff Darrow, any of the true masters of the form. Unfortunately, I had to be honest with myself. I'm never going to be that guy. I'm probably never even going to be the guy that's going to draw Batman, so, like, well, then what if I can't be the best? I can be different. I picked that up from a marketing job I used to have, if you can't be better than someone, be different than them. Kind of like that argument that a lot of people make about TNA that, they're not different enough from WWE. That's the big thing, like I found this thing like with wrestling art. There really wasn't anyone, especially full time, dedicating themselves to it. So I was able to stand out that way. If I did the same exact art but with subject matter like the pinup stuff again, I'm just another artist doing pinup art. I'm doing it a little bit different than other people, but I'm just another guy doing that. This way, I'm different.
And I think you've definitely carved out a niche here because, like you say, you're known as the guy who paints wrestlers. So whenever people talk about wrestling paintings, they're usually talking about you.
Yeah, I just need Colt Cabana to change the name of his podcast so that when people look up Art of Wrestling, I'm the top result.